In veterinary medicine, a patient experiencing a severe drug reaction cannot tell you where it hurts. They can only show you through physical distress. When a medication fails or causes harm, a veterinarian might notice symptom, and a farmer might observe a change in behavior. Without a dedicated system to capture and organize these scattered observations, they remain isolated pieces of local noise. To protect global animal health, we have to collect these silent symptoms and translate them into a universally understood data format. This is the core of veterinary pharmacovigilance. It takes the biological chaos of a farm or a clinic and turns it into actionable regulatory intelligence that can be shared across international borders. The first step in this translation process is filtering raw, real-world reports to see if they meet the strict criteria for a valid adverse event record. This animated diagram shows the 4 mandatory elements of a valid report. First, an identifiable reporter, like a vet or an owner. Second, an identifiable animal patient. Third, a specific suspect product. And finally, a clear description of the adverse event itself. But even with these 4 pillars in place, the event descriptions are often messy. A farmer might write, "Cow seems off," while a vet writes, "lethargy and pyrexia." Free text descriptions like these are too inconsistent for global databases to analyze automatically. To solve this, regulators use VETRA, which stands for the Veterinary Dictionary for Drug Regulatory Activities. VETRA is a standardized, hierarchical clinical vocabulary that assigns an official medical code to every possible symptom. By applying VETRA codes, centralized databases can instantly group and compare identical clinical signs, whether the patient is a dog in a suburban clinic or a herd of cattle on a commercial feedlot. This standardized vocabulary ensures that a side effect observed by a rural veterinarian in India can perfectly match a safety signal detected by researchers in Europe. Knowing exactly what happened to an animal is useful, but it does not scientifically prove why it happened. This animated diagram shows the ABON system, an internationally recognized logical framework used by veterinarians to determine if a medicinal product actually caused a reported event. It divides cases into 4 main categories: A for probable, B for possible, O for unclassifiable or inconclusive, and N for unlikely. To achieve an A probable classification, the evidence must be exceptionally strong. There must be a reasonable time frame between giving the drug and the reaction. The biological response must make sense based on the drug's ingredients, and there must be an absolute absence of any other underlying causes. Most cases do not meet that strict standard. Concurrent diseases, missing medical history, or complex environmental factors introduce doubt. These cases fall into the B possible or O unclassifiable categories, where a connection to the drug cannot be proven, but also cannot be completely ruled out. Causality assessment also covers situations where a drug simply fails to work. When an authorized medication is administered correctly but does not perform as the label claims, it is documented as a lack of expected efficacy. In pharmacovigilance, a drug failing to cure is treated with the same urgency as a drug causing physical harm. Veterinarians must also track off-label usage, instances where a drug is given to an unauthorized species or at an unapproved dose. Real-world clinical practice often deviates from the official label, and tracking these events is crucial for understanding the true safety profile of a product. By rigorously categorizing each report using the ABON system, regulators prevent false alarms from skewing the data, while ensuring that even possible safety signals are preserved and monitored for long-term trends. Once a local clinic translates an adverse event into a standardized VETRA code and assigns an ABON causality score, that individual data point enters a massive, centralized global safety database. This continuous aggregation allows regulatory bodies to analyze millions of reports simultaneously. They can detect subtle, emerging safety issues, like parasite resistance to a dewormer or a manufacturing defect in a specific vaccine batch, long before those localized issues become widespread crises. That global intelligence creates a continuous feedback loop. The data collected from the field directly informs updated drug labels, usage warnings, and dosage adjustments that are then sent back to guide clinical practices on the farm. Through strict reporting criteria, standardized clinical vocabularies, and logical causality assessments, the science of pharmacovigilance takes the silent suffering of an animal and transforms it into a protective global shield.